What's up everybody, Brian Tong here, and yes, right next to me, this is my review for the new PlayStation 5 Pro. And I gotta tell you, reading comments and responses from y'all, this has gotta be one of the most polarizing PlayStations that we have seen in a long time. And you know what? I get it, right? $699.99, no disk drive included, no stand included, you see those things here, but it has to get some of you feeling a certain way. At the same time, the biggest thing y'all are missing is you haven't even played it. So yes, this right here, this is the PS5 Pro. And before we jump into all the games, let's just talk about what is different design-wise and what you see. So obviously here, the biggest thing, you have this stripe here. I like to kind of call it the rib cage, or these three fins. You almost might get a little throwback to some of the PS4 here, but this is the biggest design element that distinguishes it, that this is the PS5 Pro. Now if I pick it up here, port-wise, on the front side, you will have two USB-C ports, and then the power button right here. And then I flip this over. When you're talking about ports, you'll have the HDMI, that's 2.1, Ethernet port, two USB ports, and then the power cable. Pretty straightforward. This is the PS5 Pro. Now let's talk about maybe internally what's inside and what you don't see. So first up, this PS5 Pro comes with an upgraded GPU. So what that means, it has 67% more compute units than the current PS5 console, and the memory performs 28% faster. What this contributes to overall is a 45% increase in gameplay performance, overall smoother gameplay, and what that translates to is locking those games in at 60 frames per second, some even at 120 hertz refresh rate, but that gives you buttery smooth gameplay with high fidelity graphics. Now, with that horsepower, you also get AI-driven upscaling. So what it's doing is they're using, the buzzword machine learning, but these game studios are feeding images into this platform, and what it does, it allows it to determine and distinguish, hey, how can we make these images look sharper and cleaner? And so AI upscaling, this is gonna be another feature that you see it in a lot of these games, sharper, crisper, and cleaner graphics. And then you have advanced ray tracing coming to the PS5 Pro that provides more dynamic reflections and refraction of light. So this allows the rays to be cast at double and at sometimes triple the speeds of the current PS5 console. What that gives you, just really bright, intense reflections everywhere on different surfaces, and makes things just feel more realistic. So you have racing games like F1 24. This is one example where ray tracing effects really came into play. Now we also, when we went to first see these demos over at PlayStation headquarters, they showed off Gran Turismo 7. And we've already seen GT7 running on the PlayStation 5 Pro at 4K 60 with the ray tracing enabled. It looked amazing, and it will reportedly be available in 8K 60 as well. But as of now, Gran Turismo 7 was not on the first list of games that are announced to support all these new PS5 Pro enhanced features out of the gates. All right, let's talk about also some of the hardware inside here that you just don't see. 2 terabytes of internal storage. Remember, the previous PS5s start off with 1 terabyte, and I gotta tell you, I filled mine up really quickly. Now, some of you have questioned my street cred as a gamer because I said, hey, I do digital games now. It's more convenient for me when I'm on the go. I can just download. I used to be a physical media guy, but not as much anymore. And just because I'm that doesn't mean that I don't still love games and that I've lost my credibility as a gamer. That's just some stupid gatekeeping by some of y'all. So yes, 2 terabyte storage, a lot better to fill this up with more games. Also, Wi-Fi 7 capability, so that allows you to get access to those faster networks. Again, you do have to have a Wi-Fi 7 router on top of a Wi-Fi 7 device like the PS5 Pro to take advantage of those speeds. Let's be real, most of us are still hardwiring it into our home network where you get the best performance, but it is a nice option. And then one thing that I don't know if it's just me or how I felt, this is just anecdotally, the fan, from what I believe, is a little smaller here on the PS5 Pro. Even at that, there were times where I was just downloading games where I did hear the fan, and normally I have my PS5 tucked away in a cabinet, so I don't hear it as much. I'm not saying it was overwhelming, it didn't disrupt gameplay or sound too loud, but I did feel that maybe the fan went on a little more than I'm used to. When I say a little more, like a smidgen more, it's just an observation. It's just from my experience, but that's what I noticed. All right, now let's talk about the games, right? The games is what really matters here, and if you didn't know, the PlayStation blog, they released an article that listed 55 titles of PS5 Pro compatible games that will launch on November 7th when this console comes out. So let's talk about those experiences and how they made a difference. We've got to start with an oldie but a goodie, a classic, a true classic, Last of Us Remastered 2. The biggest thing you're gonna see here is, again, the frame rate, 60 hertz at high fidelity, versus typically if you try to do fidelity mode, it was locked in around 30 frames per second. I'm just gonna tell you, every game that you play here at 60 frames per second, it feels buttery smooth, the graphics look amazing, and it makes the game feel better. I, just for fun, went back to the standard 30 frames per second, and it's one of those things where once you play it, you're like, okay, yes, we did play games, it's not the end of the world at 30 frames per second, but damn, it really makes a difference. It is buttery smooth, and again, the enhanced graphics just make it feel more alive, and I think that contributes to me wanting to play some of these games again. And I know some of you also look at the game and said, I've already played these games. That's okay. There's gonna be plenty of other new games, like we saw Ghost of Yotei be announced. We know that GTA 6 is coming soon, but let's look at the library they started with, 55, with more coming. I think there's already robust support that maybe we didn't expect out of the gates. Another classic here, Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Now this really benefits from the AI-driven upscaling. Everything from the density of shots here with confetti that doesn't disappear, it stays on screen. This is like a little quick comparison from Digital Foundry that zooms into some of these details. You know, the game just feels fuller, even far in the distance. You have the crowd there. If you get up close, there's a lot more detail there. And then things like particle effects around weapons and using them, those are also crisper and cleaner. And again, we're talking about that buttery smooth 60 frames per second. So this is a game that, you know, it's not only like a little new coat of paint, but it just feels smoother and it just makes gaming better. Also, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man series really here for PS5. I have to tell you, the game already looked so incredibly good. When we got to check out the demos and you had to like look up carefully, it was almost really hard to distinguish any major significant differences here. But again, the lock-in, 60 frames per second, the cutaway scenes, overall, Spider-Man looks better than ever and is a joy to play. So I gotta say, I haven't actually finished Spider-Man 2, I'm gonna finish it now on the PS5 Pro. And if you're wondering right now, oh, Brian, you have so many good things to say. Again, you might say, oh, this game is on the PS5 Pro. You gotta play it to experience it again. This is one of those things where you gotta experience it. I'm sorry, all of y'all in the comments that are like saying, oh, poo-pooing at the price. This may not be the console for you, and that's okay. But for a lot of people and other people, this might be the console for them. So, hey, try it out for yourself, and I would say it might at least initially change your mind. Now, one of those games that I feel really got a fresh coat of paint and just feels improved top to bottom visually and with the frame rate is Horizon Forbidden West. This is a thing where even the combat felt different. The explosions and the visuals around that were significantly different. The landscapes and the details. This is a game that truly, really benefits from the PS5 Pro and the extra hardware. And I think another game that really is on par with some of those, which feels like some of the most significant changes, has to be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. This, from previous versions, some of the rendering and some of the output just was softer and looked a little fuzzier. And I'll tell you, the PS5 Pro, everything here has been upscaled. Particle effects in combat, motion and movement, and environments. This is, I would say, that the two games that really get the best experience and best upgrade from the PS5 Pro is Horizon Forbidden West and Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. So you're all, yeah, Brian, you're hyping up every single game. Hey, I'm just pointing out the differences and how they felt. But one of these games that does not bump up to the 60 hertz refresh rate, but adds in the elements of the advanced ray tracing, that has to be Hogwarts Legacy. And this is a game where you walk around the surface of the floor, have an extra shine and shimmer, really like intense reflections. You have scenes where you're flying over water and you really see those, what do you call, like spectacular reflections, specular, just really bright and popping, and it makes the water come more alive. It makes the environments come more alive. So Hogwarts Legacy, although not a 60 frames per second game, still benefits from this advanced ray tracing. So if you're still watching right now and you're saying, oh great, Brian talked about every game that I've already played before and completed, okay, that's for some of them. But remember, there are 55 games on this list title. So games that I play, NBA 2K25, that's getting some of the benefits of the PS5 Pro. Madden 25. That's also doing it. And then you have racing games like F1 24, which we talked about earlier, Gran Turismo 7, which is expected to come down the line. These are games that you will play constantly. These aren't games that, oh, you complete and you're gonna walk away from. These are games that I revisit all the time. So there are current games, ones coming and ones that are already out, that still have a lot of replayability. So to poo-poo this and say, oh, it's only games I've already played from years ago, I don't think that's honestly genuine and authentic. And for one, I'm always playing NBA 2K25 and I'll keep on coming back to it. Then you have a game like No Man's Sky. An update was actually pushed out in the Cursed update a few weeks ago, so you can now play it. Take advantage of the PS5 Pro's enhanced things like spectral super resolution for upscaling and that 4K resolution at 60 frames per second. Also, for those of you that are PSVR fans, this also affects the VR version of the game, and this is an early supporter of 8K resolution with this No Man's Sky universe looking great in 8K at 30 frames per second if you have a TV that supports it. So I talked about all those different experiences. We've talked about the specs. Let's just talk about who this is actually for. To me, this is for the gamer that wants the best experience that PlayStation has to offer. Now, this is $699. Yes, this does not have all the accessories that we talked about earlier. But if you want the best experience, and really, if you care about what the creators intended to, when you talk to a lot of these developers, they said, this is what we want to do from the start, now we can. They're excited about it, but also, once you play some of these games again, it's also like, damn, I want to revisit these, or I can't wait to get these added benefits from the newer stuff. Now, at the same time, we know that the PS5 standard console, the PS5 Slim, those are great consoles. Like, this doesn't mean you need to upgrade. In fact, I'm come from like the camp that no, you don't have to upgrade your console, but if you want to, you can. And there's also a lot of trade-in value that you can trade in some of your previous consoles. So you're not gonna bite the entire $600, $700 cost. You also already have those accessories, so you're not gonna have to buy those again. It offers trade-in value. It might be the right path to go if you're on the fence. Now, if you're always saying, hey, this is not for me, this is, a rip-off at $700, guess what? This product quite honestly, wasn't made for everyone. You don't have to get it, but also, you don't have to like poo-poo on the comments. I still am trying to figure out, like, if you're not gonna buy something, why are people so mad about it? Something's going on there that we have to dig a little deeper into. Now, another comment I see is, hey, if you want the best console, you want the best gaming experience, go buy a PC. Guess what? I own a gaming PC. I love it. The fidelity is incredible. The controls, the games, the library that is available is incredible. But the one thing is that you can't always be just plopping down on your couch, powering up a console, sitting there and enjoying it. And this honestly gets you the closest, I'm not saying it's the same, but it gets you the closest to a PC gaming-like experience, high fidelity graphics, and 60 frames per second on your home at TV, where I can sit on this plushy couch. I can lie down. I don't have to be trapped on like a desk all cramped up with my mouse and keyboard. And there's plenty of gamers that aren't PC gamers that would rather play here. So I think this is for them as well. For sure, if you are a disc-based gamer, this is probably gonna hurt you when you wanna upgrade. Sony does give you the option to buy the disc drive separately if you want that, but yes, I completely agree how that can be frustrating for those of you that are all about that disc life. But overall, when you look at this, I mean, if you want the best PlayStation experience, this is the console to get. Sometimes, not everything is built for everybody, and you know what? That's okay too. If you have a PS5, you have a PS5 Slim, and you don't want to upgrade, I think you should be absolutely happy with it. I would just say the biggest thing that I want to let you all know is that try this first before you dismiss it. You might actually walk away saying, you know what? Dang, I really like what the PS5 Pro did, but I'm still not gonna upgrade. But you can at least acknowledge that the new power, the new AI-driven upscaling, the new refresh rates support, just the best game experience you can get on the PlayStation is right here. And until I tried it, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do it. But now that I have, and now that I spent so much time with it, for me, this is something that I'm gonna upgrade to.